Hello friends! I'm going to do a tattoo video today. I got a request for a tattoo video a couple of days ago and I was like, I feel like I just did one. And I thought about it and I've talked about my tattoos on Instagram, but I really don't think I've talked about them in a video since I got my back done. I also realized, because of I think Facebook or something sent me a 1 year alert thing showing me that it'd been 1 year since I got my my Disney one that I have, and that kind of blew my mind because that means I've gotten all of my tattoos in the last year other than my wrist. So there's that. So I'm just going to go through and talk about my the tattoos that I have and when I got them. We'll talk pain level too because I know that's a big thing that comes up, and what else I'm planning to get. And as a bonus, I will talk about Paul's tattoos because Paul has one of his tattoos is constantly, people stop him on the streets about this tattoo. He said people stop and take pictures and all that, but we'll get into that later. For my tattoos, let's get started. My first tattoo that I got was the one on my wrist. It is the symbol from Kingdom Hearts. It's a heart with a crown on top of it. Paul and I actually have matching tattoos. We got them when we got secret married in Vegas. Yes, I got secret married in Vegas. 9 months later, got real married, or real wedding, I guess. Real married, and then 9 months later, had a wedding. There's what it is. We got these done in Vegas at a Club Tattoo, paid a lot of money because they just have their hourly charge. I think Club Tattoo has to do that. So it was $150 a person to get this. And I'm not talking the watercolor, I'm just talking the actual tattoo, just the black. I remember my friend was there and she was hyping me up, telling me it was fine. It didn't hurt that bad at all. It was just gonna be like cat scratches. And then it was just this dude that tattooed me and he was really rough. It took less than 10 minutes to do. I remember staring at a floorboard on the ground, just like freaking out in my head because it really did not feel good. After I got that done, I remember the next day being like, oh, now I think like you get the itch. And I started to get the itch if I really wanted to get some other tattoos. But because I never had really looked into tattoos or you know, I knew I always wanted them, but I guess the door or the gateway had never been opened, I didn't really do any research into tattoo artists in Phoenix. That was until my friend was going to get she was getting a memorial tattoo for Chester from Lincoln Park. And she had found somebody that we had went up and we went to her studio and she did really good watercolor work. And watercolor was something where I was always, one of the reasons I never really got a tattoo before was because I was always really picky about certain styles. So for example, I would look up people that did Disney tattoos and like straight Disney tattoos. And originally I had wanted to get a Little Mermaid tattoo that basically I wanted it to look like it was from the movie. I wanted it to look like it was done by the artist who did The Little Mermaid. And every time that I would look these people up, they either lived really like places I cannot go, or they would do work that to me looked like it was not Ariel, it was Ariel or someone, like out of a coloring book, you know what I mean? It just didn't look authentic. And I wanted to wait until I found somebody that was going to do some seriously authentic work because it was going to be on my body forever. So we had gone to this shop called Ink Snob, and she had gotten her leg tattoo done. It looked amazing. The watercolor, everything looked phenomenal. So I ended up making an appointment to just get some watercolor around my Kingdom Hearts tattoo, just because I wanted it to not just be a straight black tattoo. I'm all about color, bold, fun stuff, and so I really wanted to add that to this tattoo. Got that done, basically just told the artist, here's the colors that I like, do what you want. And I really love it. I think that it adds so much more and it's so much more my style. I love the way that she does watercolor. There's different styles of watercolor for sure. And I've seen a lot that look kind of like sand art, which isn't what I wanted. And I really love how the style here is very much like you threw paint at my wrist and it has the splatters and everything. So it turned out really cool. Of course, this opened the floodgates, right? So this was like, okay. And when she did the watercolor, by the way, the watercolor felt like that cat scratch thing. So the watercolor definitely had that cat scratch feel. It did not, it was totally tolerable. It was something that I could talk through and I was completely fine with. It didn't take very long at all, and I could watch her do it. So it was no big deal. So I'm in the camp where tattoo paint is obviously going to depend on you as a person and as an individual, but two, it also is about the artists themselves and how heavy-handed they are. Moving on, the next thing I wanted to get was a Disney tattoo, because that was always the thing that was really something that was important to me and something I always wanted to get done. I always thought that I was going to get a real authentic Disney character and get something like Ariel. I always thought it was going to look exactly like Disney movies. That was until I found this artist on Instagram who actually is a real Disney artist, and he does this kind of sketchy style, and I immediately fell in love with it. The ones that really caught my attention was this series that he did where it was the princesses with their pet friend. He has one for pretty much every princess, but when I was growing up, Ariel was my jam, and then Jasmine and Aladdin, and then Beauty and the Beast. So those were the three that I wanted to really have as a tattoo. My artist was able to put them together so that it was sort of like a combined picture instead of them just being separate images. I love it. And she added the sketchiness around it so that it didn't just feel like a stamp. And there we go. So that one I think took at least 3 hours. Pain-wise, of course, with all of these, it kind of plays the same idea where this one did not hurt for a good portion of it, but there are definitely sections that I look at and I remember how bad it hurt. One of those is the basket that Belle is holding. I remember watching her and it felt like there was an X-Acto knife going in my skin. It sucked. And obviously watching her do it did not help either. And I think that the reason that that hurt so much was because she was almost completely done with the tattoo and then realized that she forgot to do the basket. So she went back to this area that was already really pissed off. So I'm pretty sure that's why that one hurt so much, because the rest of it was really not very bad at all. I know a lot of people have problems with the inner arm, but this wasn't too bad for me in any way, shape, or form. The next one that I got was my back tattoo. Now, my back tattoo is inspired by Laura Zombie. I am a huge Laura Zombie fan. I have a lot of her artwork in my home, and this particular painting is this girl with her hands on her face, and then her hair kind of turns into these birds flying away. I love it because Laura Zombie's got that watercolor vibe that I just absolutely love, and it's just beautiful. It's rainbowy. It's just amazing. So my artist took that, she made it her own a little bit, changed up the colors. That was by far the most painful tattoo that I have. I don't know, I guess I just wasn't expecting it because, you know, I'm thinking I'm some sort of badass because I got an inner arm tattoo. So my back, I wasn't expecting the fact that there's a lot of nerves in your back, and so it was really strange because I would get this referred pain. So there were times where I would feel like pain down my arm, which was really strange. And so because right off the bat I was getting that kind of weird nervy feeling instead of it just being just direct on the skin surface pain, it was almost under the skin, this just uncomfortable feeling. I was already just in a bad mood and it was hard. So that one took quite a few hours. It's still not finished. The hair and the birds are supposed to be a lot more dispersed across my back. So I really do eventually want to add more to it, add more of the hair and have it not just be this fwing. I want it to definitely be a lot more dispersed. I just have not gotten it done yet because it was not exactly a fun time to do. But other than that, I mean, I really do love it. I love the watercolor. The watercolor makes me so happy. The next tattoo that I got was my Heart of the Ocean tattoo. Can't believe it took me so long to think about this. This is actually, I'm going to be honest with you, the Heart of the Ocean tattoo that I have is my favorite current tattoo. I absolutely love it, and I know the reason that I love it so much is because the realism in it. The fact that this just looks so real, every time I look at it, I'm in awe. It's amazing. So this was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I just decided I wanted to get a Heart of the Ocean. And my artist actually had a good amount of time. So she ended up being able to do it like the next week. So she found this picture of the heart of the ocean, used that as her inspiration, and it was basically just a copy paste of that. The fact that it has the shadowing and everything in it, and just the way that the diamonds look. I mean, I've seen a couple of other heart of the ocean tattoos. This one is I mean, maybe I'm biased, but this one is the best. The way that the diamond reflects in there, the way that everything looks, I love it. I love it so much. This one hurt like not even at all. So the outside of the forearm is really not even remotely anything that, it was super, super easy. It took about maybe 3-ish hours, but it makes me so happy. And I mean, Titanic is my ride or die film, so paying homage to that was no-brainer. The next set of tattoos are my sea friends on my arm. This was kind of an interesting one. I had gone to a different artist. This was at 27 Tattoo, I think is what it's called, because I wanted to find somebody who really could embody what I was looking for with these guys, because I wanted my sea friends to be very cartoony and goofy. I wanted them to be really their own selves. I had emailed the artist that I was using, and I remember her books weren't open or anything, and I just sent her an email and I was like, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. And she loved the idea. Let me go through them. So my favorite animals are manatee, narwhal, and beluga. I've always loved manatees. Those have been my favorite for as long as I can remember. And so I absolutely wanted to get a manatee tattoo, no question. So manatees and belugas are the definite two top tier. I love beluga so much. And just the silly animals, I guess. The like really derpy animals are my favorite. Then the narwhal. So those three were my definite must-haves. And I wanted them to be kind of silly. So the manatee has a party hat. The beluga has a top hat, monocle, and a bow tie, which is just so silly. And then the narwhal has a little mustache. And the narwhal just cracks me up so much because I completely forget he has a mustache until you like look in and he's got just a goofy ass mustache. So those were my three that I had originally picked out. We were able to get the outlining done for them and all the bubbles, as well as shading in the manatee and then the narwhal. So their names, in case you're wondering, I'll get to the stingray. I know he's there too. We've got Bernard Bartholomew Winslow III, the beluga, Ned the narwhal, and we have Manfred the manatee, and then Steve the stingray. His name is Steve because he looks like Steve Urkel, not because of Steve Irwin. Somebody said that on my artist Instagram, and I was like, are you serious? No. So we were able to get these two guys finished, colored in, and then I had to wait on this one because I had to tap out. This guy, Manfred the manatee, sucked a lot. So I will say that other than my back, right here, this back of the upper arm was by far the most no bueno. Also, the horn of the narwhal wasn't too great, but I mean, it's so super tiny that it really doesn't matter. But yeah, the back right here, Manfred, was not very fun. While I was getting this done, my tattoo artist was telling me, because this area was empty, and she was like, you could probably get something else right here, maybe a piece of candy or just something so that you fill in this area so that it's not just this blank space. So I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I want to get a stingray. And so just fun fact, this guy is actually inspired by this little GIF that's on Instagram. When you go to the Instagram GIF things, and if you look up thanks, it's this little stingray that's like bouncing up and down, and he says thanks, and that's what he's inspired by. So he did that, and then we added the glasses and some tape on the glasses and some little freckles and buck teeth, just so that he's like a goofy, nerdy stingray, because they all have their quirks, and I love that about them. And so then we filled him in, and so the second session was filling in the beluga, stingray, and then doing the bubbles. The only thing with this tattoo, I think that they're so adorable and cute. The only thing that I really want to do is I want to fill it in. So I want to add some background movement, whether that's like kind of blue. I don't know what I want to do yet, but I definitely want to do something. And it's really interesting to me because I know when I first was talking to my artist about it, I told her I didn't want it to be like my Disney one. I didn't want them to be collaged together. I wanted them to be separate. But then once I got them separate, I'm like, well, I want something connecting them. So, I mean, I have the bubbles, I have like the glittery pieces in there, but I do want some something, some background. So I'm not sure what to do. Each of them has like a little bit of pink around the edges, but I just feel like I want more to be filled in. I just have to figure out what exactly I'm looking for because I don't know. Oh yeah, and then I still have more. Wow. So Ink Snob, the first tattoo place I went to at the beginning of the year, or at the end of the year, that's what it was. At the end of 2018, they did a flash sale where they were doing quick mini, like little flash tattoos for some cheap number. I can't remember what it was, but you can get 3 per artist. So I ended up getting 6 tattoos. I did a video on this. The first of which were these guys over here. I have a little Mickey, Goofy, and Donald. Those are the ones I picked because of Kingdom Hearts, because he had a bunch of really cute ones. But those were my choices, and then I ended up going back about a month later to get these little dudes filled in and then add some fireworks. I love the way that the fireworks look here. I really like having something that ties everything in, sort of like the scribbles around the Disney princesses or the watercolor on the Kingdom Hearts tattoo. I just like to have a little bit of background. I think that's what my problem is over here, that I just need something to make it feel a little bit more flowy and together, but I just don't know what. But I love the way that these dudes look. They're just so cool. They are good filler for that area, and especially adding the fireworks just really tied it all together. The other ones that I got, they are 3 cats. These are supposed to represent my cats, Kiki, Luna, and Bub. Luna is the one in the middle with the moon on her. Kiki is the one kind of standing over onto the side because Kiki is seriously a lurker. I call her a gargoyle half the time because what she does is she sits on the middle of the stairs and just watches Riley and watches my dog, watches all of us, and just lurks. I put a cat scratcher thing there because she just sits there and just watches, so she's a lurker. And then Bub is this one that's playing with Luna's tail because Bub has always been somebody who's sneak attack. She'll like bat my foot or randomly bite my toes, or she also eats clothes, so that's great. So those are the ones that I have. As far as ones that I want to get, I keep going over in my head. So I've always wanted to get a Harry Potter tattoo. That has always been something that I want, but I'm very much against the obvious choices like the Deathly Hallows symbol or always. I have a lot of issues with the word always. If you have that tattoo, please don't take offense. It's my own personal thing, which I'm just not gonna get into it. Yeah, I just don't know what I want to do. I've thought about getting the luck potion, liquid luck. I think that would be cool to get Felix Felicis. So I gotta think of something I want for Harry Potter. I also would like to get a Neverland tattoo. The same artist that does the sketches that I have for these Disney princesses, he has one of Neverland, and it's really cool. It's really the shape of Neverland. It's got the skull rock, and it has the mermaids and the rainbows, and it's just so cute. So that's something I definitely want to get. And then the most recent thing that's been added to my list, which is so dumb, but I really want it, is the llama potion from Emperor's New Groove. Just the bottle of the liquid with a llama on it. That movie is one of the greatest underappreciated Disney movies of all time, and damn it, I freaking want I already know it's gonna go right here, it's gonna go right there, and it's just gonna be the llama. Just a stupid llama potion. Oh my god, it's so funny. If you don't think that's funny, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen that movie, dude, that movie's so good, and it just kills me. But before this video ends up being like 30 million years long, the last thing I was going to talk about were Paul's tattoos. So Paul has a history of having really shitty tattoos. He had a spade on the back of his back that was done, God knows who did it, looked like crap. He had Love is War written on his chest that was clearly done by somebody who had never used a tattoo gun before. He's just had really not great tattoos. But let's talk about the good ones. So he recently, he's doing a Dragon Ball Z sleeve. He actually found this artist that lives in Iowa. And last year he flew out to Iowa to get this Super Saiyan Goku tattooed on his entire forearm in one session. I didn't think Paul had it in him. I wouldn't. So it was an 8-hour session to get this completely top to bottom forearm tattoo, and it looks really good. This guy specializes in doing anime style tattoos, and they look like they were pulled from the TV and placed on a body part, like wherever. They're really, really well done. So he's actually going back, I think this month, and getting just some areas filled in. And then I believe he's getting, I don't know what he's getting, but something Dragon Ball Z. But his tattoo looks, it's really impressive. It's really well done. And Paul's just one of those people that when he gets something that he's excited about, it's just so adorable because he just gets so, I just see him like looking at it and he's just so into it. But I think that's really anybody. Now that I've talked for like an hour, I haven't gotten any in quite a while. I definitely don't plan to go as hard as I did last year. That was a lot. But yeah, I think the next one I want to get is just that fucking llama. The fucking llama potion. Ah, it's so stupid. It's so dumb, but it's something that I want. And I've realized the more tattoos you get, the less like meaning behind it, I guess, at least for me. Not saying that these obviously don't have meaning. They all do, and they're all something that has impacted my life. But I just really want the llama poison. All right, that's all I have to talk about today. I will see you guys later. Llama tattoo.